Dove Gordon here from ProfitableRelationships.com, here with Virginia Muskies, and we are going to talk about something very important, which is how do we generate referrals like clockwork? Virginia's focus is helping solo entrepreneurs go from networking for nothing into networking in a way that generates and drives serious growth, real growth in your business. And we were talking about privately, we were talking about how to generate referrals like clockwork consistently. And I thought that would be something that was worth sharing. So Virginia, in your experience and with what you teach, how do you share with your clients? What do you tell them is the secret or the non-secret to generating that consistent flow of referrals?
It's really about doing the right work with the right people at the right time. And as you pointed out with earlier to me, like with some level of consistency and commitment, right? But the real thing is you can have all the consistency and the commitment in the whole wide world. But if you're doing the right work with all the wrong people or the wrong work with the right people, you can be consistent at beating your head against the wall and it's not going to get you ROI. So the real important thing is to realize that people are almost always what they do and almost never what they say.
Okay, I was going to ask you, how do you know if you're doing the right work with the right people? How do you know it's the right people? Did you just tell us the answer to that? People who do what
Sort
they
of.
say?
Yeah. Well, they have to have influence with your tribe in some way. So that's number one that makes them the right people, right? So, they need to be coachable and motivated to help you. Like there's a whole list of things, qualities that you want. And I have my own 6, but you might have your own 6. Like this is what I want in a referral partner. This is the kind of network that I'm trying to build. So I'm looking for these qualities and values and the people that I invite into my community. And Dove, you're a master at this, right? Curating a community that shares your values and your motivations. But then you need to realize that most of us have really good intentions and we talk a really good game, but we only have so much bandwidth. And so you can tell if you're a priority with someone by what they're willing to do and actually follow through on. So it's great if I say, sure, Dove, I'll listen to your podcast and I'll subscribe, rate, and review. But if I never do it, what I'm showing you is that I probably don't have the bandwidth to be that kind of a promotional advocate for you. So you really want to look at what people do. I never assume that that's only what they'll do for me, but I assume that that's as much as they're willing to do right now, unless I have a meaningful conversation. And then I invest my time, my energy, my resources, and my knowledge helping people at a level of reciprocity.
What does that mean?
That means that I'm not going to send you $3,000 or $300,000 in referrals if you say thank you and then never follow through on a single request I make of you. I'm going to set the fleece. I'm going to do a thing. And I'm going to wait for you to do your thing. And I pre-agree on everything too, for the most part, Dove. If I give you something and I don't pre-agree with you, it's free and clear, just so you know. It's free and clear. I don't have an expectation of reciprocity. But most of us think that if I have a bunch of coffee meetings with Frank, that Frank should be referring to me. I mean, after all, I gave him 3 referrals and bought him 3 cups of coffee. Like what's a girl got to do? Right. But if I didn't pre-agree that that's what we're doing, then I'm going to be sorely disappointed.
I'm hearing what may to some sound like a very transactional types of relationships, but I know you well enough to know that's not what you're talking about. You're not saying, I'll do this for you if you do that for me, or I'll do this for you and now I expect something back. Because, I know that I just watched how you work, how you are. You're a genuine giver, often without expecting anything in return. Set me straight. What are you talking about? So that I don't want anybody to have this misunderstanding of that we're talking about transactional. And what does that even mean to you?
Transactional to me is when people want something from you and are not willing to give. Or I'll only work with you if you meet this one criterion, right? Which is give me money. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's transactional when money is the only form of exchange in the mix and it's genuinely flowing one way. That to me is where the transactional part comes. But what I'm talking about, and it's interesting, Dove, because what I do is I set the fleece. right?
Hmm.
I throw it out there and I see what kinds of response I get, right? You and I are building a relationship because I'm throwing it out there and you're reaching back to me. So I throw it out, you hit it back. I throw it out, you hit it back. And then you and I just did something by pre-agreement.
Hmm.
We pre-agreed to these conversations and what we were going to do. And right, there are people that I throw it out there and I don't get anything back. I throw it out there and I don't get anything back. And I say, okay, they're not willing to play at that level. So let me see if they'll play at this other level. So I'm testing the waters to see what level people want to play at. And then I make agreements with them about how we're going to relate to one another based on that. Now, those might be spoken agreements in some cases. In many cases, it's, hey, let's do something together, which is not transactional. It's not,
Right.
if you do this for me, I'll do this for you. It's like, hey, let's do a thing together. What would that look like? And then we have a conversation about our needs and our knowledge and our resources and everything we can bring to the table. And then we build a thing. And then we agree on what you're going to do and what I'm going to do. And we do it, or we don't. And then
And
we have a meeting and we talk about that.
and that's great. And it's clear because you are talking about building real relationships that are not just based on, I'll do something for you only if you do something for me.
Right.
Um, at the same time, what you're demonstrating is that you're showing how, like, in other videos we've talked about the importance of planning.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have planned in advance, when you have a process, when you know what you both are looking for as well as can give to others, it just
Mm-hmm.
speeds up the time and helps you focus on the right people to invest in relationships with the right people, as opposed to hoping that the person that you spend all this time with is going to somehow, because let's face it, you know, we're not looking, we're all running little businesses and we're not looking to just spend time, schmoozing with people day in and day out, because we do also need to somehow grow our businesses. Right. So that was, I think you articulated that distinction very nicely. Um, and I know that people can get more from you, some free report or free training or layout that you have there at Business by Referral Blueprint, which people can access at profitablерelationships.com/Virginia, Virginia. Thank you, Virginia Muskies, for sharing some more of your wisdom with us. And we look forward to continued conversations. I always learn something.
Thanks, Steph.